Hi, so we are discussing some of your friends are in lift and the lift is moving upward and you are standing on the ground floor. Just you are not inside the lift, you are standing on the ground floor and two of your friends inside the lift moving upward. So the friend inside the lift, what they will think about each other. Okay, there is no any position, change in position of any of them. Suppose, but they will comment what they will comment about themselves, each one of them. Suppose Mohan and Sohan, they're inside the lift. Mohan and Sohan both are inside the lift, and there is no any change in the position of any. So what they will say? They will say that there is no change in position, so we both of us are at rest. But what you will say if you get the chance to comment on the motion of the particle? What we will say? Ki lift is going upward, so both of them moving upward, and so with respect to time, there is change in the position of both of the friends. That's why both of them are in motion. So what happens? At the same instant of time, you are claiming that the Mohan is in motion. But Sohan, with Mohan in the lips, what Sohan is telling about Mohan? There is no change in the position of Mohan, so Mohan is at rest. So how Mohan can be at rest or in motion at the same instant of time? So to understand all these things, we shall devote some time. We shall deep dive into the matter. We will try to learn the basic concepts. How actually it is happening, and how should we define motion? How should we understand motion? So, first thing is that you have to consider the position of the particle. First, you have to locate the particle. Locate the particle, not in sense. So, for locate the particle, you have must heard about the coordinate system, as I think. You can place three fingers. Three fingers. Perpendicular to each other. When three axes are perpendicular to each other, generally till in class 9 or 10, you come with two axes, x-axis and y-axis. X and y both are perpendicular to each other, but here we have to consider one more axis, x, y and z, and all of them, x, y, z, three axes are perpendicular to each other. When three axes are perpendicular to each other, we can consider it as a coordinate system. And the point where they meet, we make it as origin. So one of them can be called x-axis, another is called y-axis, and the third one is the z-axis. All of them, x, y and z, all of them are perpendicular to each other. All of them are perpendicular to each other. So, if the particle is at x-axis only, the y and z coordinate of the particle is 0. If it is on the y-axis, x and z coordinate of the particle is 0, and if it is at z-axis, then x and y coordinate of the particle is 0. And if the particle is at x-axis, take only one example. Let us talk about x-axis only. If the particle is on the x-axis and moving on the x-axis only, so it is one-dimensional motion. So if the particle, to explain the motion of the particle, if we need only one axis, it is called one-dimensional motion of a particle. We are moving on a straight line. If you are moving on a straight line, only one axis is needed to explain the motion of the particle. We have to explain the motion of the particle. So if for explaining the motion of the particle only one axis is necessary, one axis is required, then it is one-dimensional motion. In the same way, if two axes are required to explain the motion of the particle, It is two-dimensional motion, and in the same way, three axes are required to define the motion of a particle, to explain the motion of the particle, to see the position of the particle, to comment on the changes in the position of the particle. If all these three axes are required, three-dimensional motion. If only two axes are required, two-dimensional motion, and one axis are required, one-dimensional motion. So here understand, we shall discuss in detail in next classes or further classes. But here consider, if only one axis is required for the motion of the particle, it is one-dimensional motion, that is motion on a straight line. That is motion on a straight line. Here. If two axes are required to describe the motion of a particle, two axes are required, suppose x and y, y or z, z and x, a combination of any of two, x, y, y, z, z, x, any two axes are required to explain the motion of the particle. How it is happening? It can happen if the particle is changing its position in some direction and also the vertical is changing, so x and y both are changing. When you put the coordinate at any point in x and y axis, what do you write? 3 and 4. 3 and 4 means what? 3 is the displacement on the x axis and 4 on the y axis. That's why the coordinate of the particle is 3 and 4. And after some time, just a minute. And after some time, what happens? If the coordinate of the particle becomes 5 and 8, the initial position of the particle is 3 and 4, means 3 unit in x-axis, 4 unit in y-axis. But after some time, when it is 5 and 8, means 5 unit in x-axis and 8 unit in y-axis. So the position has changed. So when the position has changed, x and y both changing, x and y both changing. So two axes are required to describe the motion of the particle, and in this case, this motion is called the two-dimensional motion or the motion in plane, because when we consider two axes, the area becomes plane. So x and y plane. If x and y coordinates are changing, it means the particle moving in xy plane. So motion in plane. We shall discuss in detail in motion on plane when we shall be discussing the topic projectile motion. Actually, here let us focus on the straight line motion. It means the only one coordinate of the particle will be changing. The particle will be moving on a straight line, either it is on x-axis or y-axis or z-axis. When you throw a particle just vertically upward, what happens? Only one coordinate is changing. The particle moves on a straight line, goes upward and then returns back in the downward direction. So it is one-dimensional motion because only one axis is required to describe the motion of the particle. So how the axis will be? How the axis will be? So many messages are coming. Sorry for the interruption. So in this way, you will be able to describe the motion of the particle. Now, consider one example. Some of your family members are now moving from your hometown, and you are with them. You are with them actually to see of them. What happens? You go to the platform, railway platform station. Platform. Your family members move inside the bogie, and you remain standing at the platform. The train is not moving, but they are inside the bogie of the train, compartment of the train, and you are standing on the platform. What happens? You say that all of them are at rest because there is no any change in the position of any of them. But what happens when train moves? When train moves, you see that they are moving away from you. So you say that they are changing their position with respect to time. That's why they are in motion. But what about them? They are inside the compartment of the train. So there is no any change in the position with respect to one another. So they will say that there is no change in the position, so we are at rest. You are claiming that they are in motion. So at the same instant of time, one is claiming to be at rest, another claiming for in motion. So rest and motion is not an absolute concept. You cannot define them. Rest and motion are not absolute concept. Rest and motion is the relative concept. It happens with respect to other. You can say that the particle is moving, another one can say that the particle is at rest. It depends upon the condition, who is going to comment on the motion of the particle. So, to discuss on the motion of the particle, let us just consider one-dimensional motion only here. To discuss the motion of the particle, we need three things. We need three things. One is the object, another one is the observer, and the third one, actually the important one, frame of reference. So what are the three things we need to describe the motion of the particle? First one is the object. Object is the particle which motion is under consideration. Suppose if we talk about the motorbike, then motorbike is the object in this case. If we talk about the aeroplane moving in the space, aeroplane here is the motion, is the particle under consideration. So the particle which motion is under consideration is the object. So first we have to choose on which particle we are going to comment. We are going to describe. That particular particle will be called the object. Second one is the observer. Observer is one who is watching the motion of the particle and in the position to comment. If anyone is in good shape to comment the position of the particle, that person will be called the observer. So these two are very much clear. One is the object which motion is under consideration. Another one is the observer who is in good shape to say he is watching the motion of the particle and will be commenting how the particle is changing its position. If someone is comment, then he can be called, he or she can be called the observer. But the third one is what? Frame of reference. Frame of reference is something, the coordinate system that we have studied, the position. Let us consider the position of the observer who is making the comment on the particle. It is very much essential. It is very much essential. What is the position of the observer who has been watching the motion of the particle and he is in good shape of telling something how the particle is changing its position. So first we have to also locate, we have to describe, we have to understand the position of the observer. Without considering the position of the observer, you can never tell about the motion of the particle. So what happens? There are two kinds of frames. One is the inertial frame and another is the non-inertial frame. The more detailed discussion will happen when we shall be discussing Newton's laws of motion, because in some cases Newton's second law of motion is not applicable there. So to make them applicable, how to deal with the second law of motion, we must have the clear-cut understanding of the reference. But here understand, there are two kinds of frame of reference. One is the inertial frame of reference and another is the non-inertial frame of reference. If the particle or observer is static, if the observer is static itself or not changing the position, or if changing with the constant acceleration, then it is inertial frame of reference. But if the observer itself moving or accelerating, then he is in non-inertial frame. Because if you are sitting on the chair and watching the cricket match happening in front of you in the field and you are commenting, you are not changing your position at all, so you will be in inertial frame in this situation. You will be inertial frame in this situation. But suppose you are driving and your friend is also driving. You are accelerating, your friend is also accelerating, and you are commenting on each other. So what happens? Both of you are not static at all. Both of you are moving. Both of you are accelerating. So in this case, if you are commenting on the motion of the particle, you will be in non-inertial frame. So what happens if you are static? If you are not changing your position. If you are not changing your position, you will be in inertial frame. So to discuss the motion of the particle, what happens? We have to take three things. Object. Object means the particle who will be doing the motion. Observer. Observer means who will see and comment on the motion of the particle. And third one is the frame of reference. Frame of reference means the position of the observer who is going to make the comment. So you have to make it very much clear that either the observer will be in inertial frame or non-inertial frame, because the situation will change. As the reference changes, as the frame of reference changes, inertial to non-inertial, non-inertial to inertial, the situation totally changes and the motion can be described in something different manner. So, what we have learned till now, 2-3 things must be considered. One thing is the scalar quantities. A scalar quantity is having only magnitude. I am not going in detail. Another one is the vector quantity. Vector quantity means what? Vector quantity means a quantity which has magnitude as well as direction, and it obeys a specific laws of vectors. They do not obey simple algebraic rules. They are the vector quantities. If the quantity has magnitude and direction and it obeys simple algebraic rules only, it is a scalar quantity. For example, you can take it current. Current has magnitude, current has the direction, but it obeys the simple algebraic rules. That's why it is a vector. It is not a vector quantity, it is a scalar quantity. Another one is the rest and motion. Rest and motion are not separate. You cannot think both of them in separation. We define both of them, rest or motion, in reference to one another. So rest and motion are not absolute concept. It is a relative concept. Rest and motion relative concept. If the particle, someone is saying that the particle is at rest, at the same time another one can comment that particle is in motion. It happens. And that is the fact. That is the fact only. If the particle is at rest with respect to someone, with respect to some other one, the particle can be in motion. We are at rest. I am sitting on the chair. I am at rest. But if someone is commenting, someone is watching me from the moon, and he will comment, what they will comment? Earth is rotating, that's why I am also rotating, I am not static at all. So he will say that that he is rotating, he is not at rest, he is in motion. But the person on ground, what they will tell about me? He is sitting on the chair, he is static, he is at rest. So rest and motion are a relative concept, they are not absolute concept. Then what happens? Then we have to first we have to find out the position of the particle. And for finding out the position of the particle, what we have to do? We have to make the coordinate system. Coordinate system means what? three axes mutually perpendicular to each other, x, y and z. So let us devote some time here. How can we define x, y and z? Now just see. You are watching there. Just see the corner. One axis is like that. One axis is like that. And another one is like that. So at that point, all three are perpendicular to each other. This one is perpendicular to that one. That one is perpendicular to that one. And the whole thing is perpendicular to that one. So three axes are perpendicular to each other, mutually perpendicular to each other actually. So when the axes are mutually perpendicular to each other, three axes are mutually perpendicular to each other, we can say that this is our coordinate system. And if the particle is moving on a straight line, it means, what does it mean? It means particle is moving, it's only one coordinate of the particle is changing. If the one coordinate of the particle is changing, one on the move, or the particle is moving on only one axis, it is called one dimensional motion. And the example of one dimensional motion can be called a motion on a straight line. So when the particle is moving on a straight and only one axis is required, that means x axis or y axis or z axis, any one of them, it is a reference point. You can take, if we throw the particle upward, it is one dimensional motion because only y axis is changing, y coordinate of the particle is changing, x and z remain static. There is no any change in the coordinate of the y and z. That's why it is only y coordinate is changing. That's why it is one dimensional motion. But if x and y both are changing, if the two axes are required to discuss the motion of the particle, then it is called two-dimensional motion or the motion in a plane. So what happens? For the example of motion in a plane, let us consider here. Suppose this is a plane. This is a plane. X axis is here. X axis is here. Y axis is here. And if it is moving in this way, what does it mean? Moving like that. Moving like that. From here to here. So what does happen? X and Y both coordinates are changing. If X and Y both coordinates are changing, it is two-dimensional motion. An example of two-dimensional motion is the motion of a projectile that we shall learn here in this chapter. So first devote rest and motion. So we have learned something here. If you have the book, go through the books, understand these things. What actually rest and motion is, what are vector as scalar quantities, how can we add two or more vectors. There are two laws: triangle law of vector addition, parallelogram law of vector addition. In this way we can study subtraction of vectors. For the addition of suppose one vector is p, another one is q. So when we add two vectors p and q, the resultant is under root p square plus q square plus 2pq cos theta. Here p and q are the magnitude of vector p and vector q respectively. So if you have the magnitude of vector p, magnitude of vector q, and the angle between the two vectors p and q, and suppose it is theta, then when we add p and q, what is the result of the addition? P square plus q square plus 2pq cos theta. And what is the direction? Tan inverse q sin theta by p plus q cos theta. So these are the equations. You will definitely find it in the book. Go through the book. I shall be deriving all these things in the next lecture. So here it was the introduction to rest and motion. It was just introduction to rest and motion. How do we establish coordinate system? How can we say that the only one coordinate of the particle is changing? How should we consider the motion of the particle? When the particle will be at rest, when the particle will be at motion, how the rest and motion is a relative concept. It cannot be defined absolutely in absolute manner. It can be defined absolutely, but it cannot be defined in absolute manner. It is a relative concept. So, in the next class on the coordinate system, we shall be discussing about the position. We have discussed about the position, but mathematically, all these things, what we have explained here, we shall see all these things mathematically. On the basis of the mathematics, on the basis of some rules of the mathematics, we shall be discussing the position, we shall be discussing the speed or velocity, we shall be discussing about the acceleration, we shall plot some graphs, and we shall be trying to solve some problems on the basis of the two ways. One is analytical ways on the basis of the equations, and another one is the graph. We shall also learn how the graph is able to explain the motion, and how should we draw the graph, in which situation what kind of graph is suitable. And if we see the graph, we can say that the motion of the particle, how it is moving. It is either accelerating, it is either deaccelerating, either it is velocity time graph or position time graph or acceleration time graph. What is the relation? There can be so many kinds of graphs there. So on the basis of the graph, we shall be able to discuss the motion. So in the next lecture, we shall be discussing about it. I hope you students will be enjoying this video. This is just simple introduction kind of videos. Just go through it, learn the basic concept. In the next class, we shall be establishing our coordinate system first. What three axes mutually perpendicular to each other. We shall be discuss more about it. We will be establishing our coordinate system. We shall be discussing about the position. We shall locate the particle. We will write the coordinate of the particle, and after some time we shall see how the coordinate of the particle is changing on a straight line. First we shall consider on the straight line. We shall write some equations. We shall derive some equations. We will be plotting some graphs, and also on the basis of the graphs and the equation, we will be correlating the motion of the particle. Some mathematics are there, some good examples are there, some analytics are there, some graphs are there. We shall be enjoying there. Enjoy well, and thank you.